It will be partly cloudy with a low of 52. An evening shower may occur. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this hour of the Shaun Thompson Show is sponsored exclusively by DonleyAuctions.com. They need your guns. Sell for top dollar. DonleyAuctions.com.
I love America. I love the Constitution. I love the First Amendment. I want to carry and all else. I love property. And let me tell you something. If you care about your country, I'll read Ludwig von Mises and the 6 lessons of the Austrian Economic School, motherfuckers.
From the streets of Melrose Park to the trading floor of the Merc, he's fought for every dollar he's ever earned. And now, with personal liberty and our system of capitalism under assault in America, he's here to seize back our rights from the government. With a cigar in one hand and a copy of the Declaration of Independence in the other, he's Shaun Thompson. And this is the Shaun Thompson Show.
Some folks are born made to wave the flag. Ooh, they're red, white, and blue.
There is a downside of even when you're aware of how corrupt Democrat areas are, such as our own. It makes you sharper. You can spot the scams easier. But you kind of forget the point of the country because we're used to corrupt judges. I mean, we're used to it. We're used to corrupt politicians who use law as the spear. But in this country, in theory, law is the shield of the righteous against the spear of the corrupt. My next guest understands this oh too well, even though she is too from a very corrupt area, very corrupt, as we now are getting a window into how corrupt Minnesota is. However, Sarah is not going to take it. She files a landmark federal lawsuit against the United States government, Alphabet, Google, YouTube, alleging coordinated censorship, defamation, and viewpoint discrimination. Now, her name is Sarah Westall. I love having her on. She's a dogged reporter. She's host of a fantastic podcast called Business Game Changers. But Sarah, I wear it as a badge of honor. After all, I said immediately on the night the election was stolen. He stole the election. They had dimwit in diapers. I said immediately with COVID, the pandemic, and the vaccine would kill more people than the pandemic. So I took it. Censored from YouTube and Asshat and X. But you're doing the right thing. We're not supposed to take it. We're supposed to sue, aren't we?
Well, yeah, I mean, what are we going to do if we just take it and everybody takes it, and then we're in a situation where what happened with me, I might have just taken it, too, if I didn't have a year of defamation. I mean, they didn't just passively censor me. They aggressively defamed me. So I felt like I didn't have a choice.
Now, it's funny. I get always hit with, we're going to sue and all this. I get this all the time, mainly 99% of the time from Republicans who I call out. But it's fascinating to see when you say they went after you for defamation, you mean they tied you up in court for defamation and then they hit you with a non-disclosure so you couldn't talk about it? How did it work? Tell me.
I was on the front page of Google search with defamatory content that I couldn't get down for almost a year. And they had fake channels up that were monetized on YouTube. 4 of them were up that we found, and 2 of them were fully monetized, posting all of my content, which were, they were monetized. But it made me look bad because it was mixed in with other things. Yeah, and my legit stuff did not come up. And then as we were trying to take them down, porn material came up with my name associated with it. And, I just didn't have any choice. I had to sue.
That's fantastic. You're suing. And you're right. You didn't have any choice. The problem you have is similar to the Chicagoans. I don't have this problem anymore as I can't live underneath them anymore. But are you concerned that you filed the lawsuit? Did you file it in Minnesota or did you file it in a federal court?
Oh, not Minnesota.
Yeah.
We filed it in, our goal is to be in D.C. because we don't want to be in California either, because what we are arguing, we're the first time in U.S. legal history where we said that the Ninth Circuit is where Google resides, that it's structurally biased and people cannot get justice there. They aren't able to see, because of whatever, different things that they're aligned with, conflicts of interest, they aren't able to get past their biases.
Now, you reach a couple million people a month, more, a week, a show. And when you see how could you figure out how much it cost you? How much opportunity? I mean, it's got to be staggering when you really think about it and you step back and you see and this was a year you went through this?
Well, no, I mean, when we got kicked off, or I got kicked off in 2020, and then we filed a lawsuit, a group of us, 15 of us, filed a lawsuit immediately, and we calculated that we had more views than the entire mainstream media them combined and us combined, we had more views than them. And this is before they shifted to online, and it was all just television and stuff. And I am almost 100% convinced that they had to take us down in order to win the election. They needed the mainstream. They needed their talking points. Yeah. And so they took us down. And at the exact same time they took us down, they put up a new contract. So we sued. We ended up appealing. We lost immediately. Section 230, they can do anything they want. Then we went to the Ninth Circuit, federal court. We appealed. And they lied and said we were claiming government coercion, but they lied and said they acted alone. And we know they weren't acting alone because it came out in the Senate hearings and Google's attorneys admitted that there was government coercion, plus the Twitter files and so much other things.
Well, the Twitter files are fascinating. But, I was thinking about this all weekend, Sarah. I really was, because, Chicago is known for this kind of political mafia, right? Barack Obama is where this all traces. I think someone has to mention the Obama administration in a suit. Because now we know, thanks to Tulsi, this was an orchestrated, organized attack from 2016 with Trump. And these are all the sycophants to the Obama administration that carried this out. Even that slimy bastard Dorsey with the Twitter file. And, on January, this is how there is not a question in my mind what happened with the election theft and the phony fraud insurrection. I was caught a 5:35 or 5:45 flight on January 6th. It's my mother's birthday. And this happened to another radio host by the name of Mancow in Chicago. And these groups were contacting me. Hey, why don't you go to Washington, D.C.? Hey, what do you want? We'll pay you to go to Washington. We got your ticket. I'm not going to Washington, D.C. I don't have a pair of shoes I hate that much. I'm going, because I have a thing with my mother. My mother's birthday, I walk on the beach with myself and my mother in my head. That's what I do every January 6th. So I catch an early flight. And I fly to Florida. By the time I get off the plane, my Twitter is seized. This is right before, I would say, this is an hour before the so-called insurrection. And I know that didn't just happen to me. It happened to another radio host. The same kind of thing, where it was like the setup. Go to Washington, and you find out all these assets, these ex-drug dealers, these confident informants that were part of these groups that were saying, come on, let's go to D.C. The whole thing is the greatest example of entrapment. But to me, Joe Biden couldn't figure this out. He didn't know if he had shoes on or slippers or why his socks were wet. This was Barack Obama and right back to that administration. Have you thought, or did your lawyer tell you, mention more people that Tulsi Gabbard is now saying was in on this conspiracy? Mention Brennan. Mention Comey. Mention them.
Well, that's where it's going to get interesting because the information is so ripe now. I mean, there's so much proof that we need to get the discovery. And getting the discovery, then we can see what actually happened with communication back and forth. Notoriously, they have shut everybody down and said you can't sue them because of Section 230. But we're going around Section 230 and saying there's antitrust, there's defamation, and there's market displacement. And so there's more here. And you can't just say Section 230 allows you to get around all these other legal things that they shouldn't be able to get around. And so we are going at it from a whole nother direction. And when we get to discovery, all of that can come into play. We're going to need help. We're going to need help from a monetary standpoint. But, man, this all needs to come out because the country cannot live under this level of tyranny. This is tyranny.
Well, you can't live under the lie itself of what was a completely illegitimate administration. Joe Biden's entire 4 years was absolutely and unequivocally illegitimate. And the treasonous policies were created so that the people who facilitated the election theft were paid off. That's the scandal in Minnesota. That's the scandal in Arizona. That's the scandal in California. These areas, it was the payoff. You steal the election, we'll give you these trillions of dollars that no one will come after. And if they do, don't worry, we got the judges, like in Minnesota, the 3 judges that overturned the verdicts. I mean, if we don't push back against it and we accept it, It'll remind me of what I saw happen to Chicago after they allowed the Daily Crime Syndicate and Chicago Democrats to steal the 1960 election. What happens is you normalize that kind of government corruption. It's right? And you just get it.
Yep.
And growing up here, my whole life, every guy who dried off your car at the car wash to the guy who ran the bank knew it was a Democrat mafia town. And if you're going to get ahead, you play ball. And you can't live under that. You can't let that happen to a country. And it's already happened in all these Democrat areas. It's all the same, isn't it?
It is all the same. And you point to something really strong. And I was covering the election fraud big time. I had a video that went viral. I had a group of over 500 mathematicians and computer scientists that were looking at every district and every race and knew where all the anomalies were. And the guy that was leading it, his father and a couple of family members were killed. And they had really good numbers, and he backed out. He just was like, he didn't want to be part of it anymore because, I mean, this is the consequences of people who actually bring the goods in these situations. And I was putting all that forward, and the thing went viral. That one went viral everywhere. And YouTube, I created another channel. It went viral on YouTube. They cut it down right away, and it went viral on every platform, all these alternative platforms. And I'm telling you, nobody looked into it seriously. When you had the best and the brightest all across the country, they had over 500 people, and they knew, I mean, this wasn't rocket science. They knew where the anomalies were. And when they say it was the safest election and it wasn't rigged, it is so clear to people that have a statistic or mathematical or computer science background. You don't even need to have a strong background, and you can see it.
We had
My kids in college knew.
Well, first of all, I mean, when you see, like, in Wisconsin, they had, 3 million more registered voters than they had adults. I mean, that's why Chicago doesn't clean the elections, the voter rolls. I mean, it's a joke, the cemetery and the illegitimacy of it. We used to have on a repeated guest who at the time was just as censored as all of us, who worked for the U.S. Navy intelligence. He was a software guy, a mathematician, and he's written books about it. But when you step back and you look at this, the silver lining is what we see before us, because you were on the forefront of independent journalism. Now you see these young kids, and this is it's awe-inspiring is really what it is. The mainstream media is a joke. I have it on in the studio. Mainly it's a punchline. MSNBC, CNN. Nobody watches these fracking things. And when you see how many of these hosts have sisters and wives and fathers and all the rest of it, I think in 100 years from now, Sarah, those kids 100 years from now are going to look back and say, how could they even tolerate what was called politics back then? It's all gangster corruption. And that's, I think, beautiful, because you're seeing these kids come up because there's a need, there's a market for it, and there's a market for you. I think you're going to have a big victory. What are you feeling? What are you hearing now from your lawyers?
We will have a victory if we can get past the corruption. If the courts can look at it on face value, then we will. It'll be, I mean, it's a no-brainer, because we will have a victory just getting to discovery. And this kind of case should automatically get to discovery. So we think that the legal or the political environment has shifted where we're going to get there. We really do. The shift that the people are sensing that this is just wrong.
And the only thing that could hold you up is the corrupt Republicans like John Thune. You know, this is the one thing we knew during the Biden years. Joe Biden didn't know what fracking day it was. So those suck-on Marxists around him, his administration, they were running it from the shining whatever. But when you heard Chuck Schumer brag about the 265 appointed federal judges, and you see these are the lowest of the low. We have a guy in Chicago who pretended to be a investigative reporter, and he kissed all the ass. And in fact, his daughter went to work for Barack Obama. She was one of the federal judges appointed under Biden. Her name is Shaun. It's unbelievable. I mean, it's like right out of south side of Chicago. So when you think there's 265 of those, and you see John Thune keeping the Senate in recess so Trump cannot do a recess appointment, which is exactly what he should have done on day one, on week one. Now the Senate's in recess, and he offsets the corruption judges with his own judges, because that's the game. These judges can really upend you, can't they?
That's right. Yeah, that's right. And that's what we're trying to get around that. We preempted the Ninth Circuit by what we did. We're trying to stay in the D.C. court. The judge we have in the D.C. court is she's resided over the Microsoft antitrust case. So we're thinking it's a better shot. But we don't know because Google immediately they're going to move the case to California. So we preempted that. So let's hope they don't. That'd be the first win. And then the second win is getting past, okay, they're going to try to dismiss it and say we have nothing here. And we're going to try to get past that because we know we do. And then we get past that and we win. We win. If we get to discovery, we win. No, the country wins no matter what.
Yeah, well, I feel like we're going to win anyway. I mean, listen, if you have an IQ over 60 and you have any integrity or character, you can't go along with this. You just can't. And I don't think the future is going to. And the indication is how many young people, how many old people, how many middle-aged people are turning off these propagandist scum calling themselves media and tuning in to you and tuning in to the Nick Shirleys and the unnamed young kids out there who do twice the job the so-called investigative reporters do anyway. Right. You've been doing that for how many years and you've been at the forefront of it. And, you know, it's crucially important people understand this. And the show speaks for itself. Your show speaks for itself. It has a tremendous amount of people that look at it, and I hope to God that you get your day in court because you have to bring them down by the only thing that they really will become traitors for, and that's their money. When you think about it, they sell out their country for money. That's it. They're whores. I can't stand it.
And power, money and power. But, you know, the Smith-Mudd Act needs to be re-looked at, where they allowed the government in 2012 to change the Smith-Mudd Act and allow propaganda. George Soros gave the ACLU $50 million, and then the ACLU went around and talked about how changing it would be the best thing for freedom of speech. And now we're in this situation. So when you have the government has the ability to do propaganda and the government does censorship, you're in a really bad situation because you have nothing to counteract the propaganda.
You're in Chicago. That's all. You know, that's how it works. And the Republicans are in on this as well. That's why when you see the money that was flooded after Joe Biden stole the election, you know, one president added $9 trillion to debt. Took the country 236 years to get to $9 trillion. That moron did it in 4 years. That money went as a payoff scheme, and it didn't just pay off the Democrats. It paid off the Republicans that hated Trump, the Republicans that loved the system. Those are the Republicans that got in on the PPP stuff. Those are the ones that got the loan guarantees. So it's a Leviathan we're fighting, but I think in the end we're going to win like David. I really believe that. So, Sarah Westall, where's the best place to go and keep an eye on everything and support you?
Well, I really appreciate that, SarahWestall.com. But also, we have a GoFundMe for this lawsuit. We really need help raising money. It's not GoFundMe. I'm sorry. It's GiveSendGo.com/EndGovCoercion. Please go there. End Gov Coercion. Give Send Go. Give some money. Help us. You know, with this case, we know that if we get to discovery, we're going to need some serious help raising money. And I think we're going to get there. I think people are going to really step up and help support this. But we need some help just getting there as well.
And when you look at that GoFundMe, right, when you said to correct yourself, it's because they were in on that scam, too. Look at how they shut off people. They were in on that scam.
Absolutely.
Oh, and I'll tell you something. When we look back and we look at what happened with everything, but specifically the big assaults on freedom and the righteousness of American law, and you even look at Twitter, I cannot wait to be a fly on the wall, hopefully. I don't know how it works after you die. But 100 years from now, when somebody explains how Twitter forced Elon Musk to buy it after Discovery showed they were lying about the money they made and the people they had on it. I mean, when you look at the abuse that we went through for those 4.5 miserable years, I think we're going to be vindicated, and I hope it starts with a big victory for Sarah Westall. Thank you so much, Sarah, for joining me.
Thank you, Shaun. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
No, keep us in the loop. If you need anything, you call, okay?
I will. Thank you. Right. Appreciate it.
Anytime. We'll be back with your calls and comments.
He believes in freedom, capitalism, and individual liberty. And because of that, he's become an enemy of the state. He's Shaun Thompson, and this is The Shaun Thompson Show on AM 560.